How's it going, folks? My name's Nick. This is Otto, the garden cat back there. This is my co-host, and this is the Seattle Permaculture vlog. Yeah, out here today for actually the first time I've really been out here working on the homestead for quite some time. Been pretty busy with contractor work and then, catching up on everything. So I have been out here doing a couple little things, checking in every day as usual, but nothing major. So today I'm actually gonna share a little bit about a compost extract. So I finally got my compost tea bag in the mail, and we just about have finished compost. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about what a compost extract is versus a compost tea, why you would use it, etc. So we're gonna get into that in just a little bit. But first let's get started. We're gonna get into that in a little bit, but first let's get started with the chickens. All right, so on the way to chickens, as always, I forget to mention the whole rain thing, but I just know we haven't had that much rain recently, so this is 0.15 inches, just under that actually. The past 2 or 3 days we have not had much rain, but pretty much the week before that we had a lot of rain, like 5+ inches of rain. So lots and lots of rain, so I'm not really too worried about what's going on in the garden in terms of water, because everything's fine. And especially if you want really deep roots, you shouldn't really be watering your plants every day if they need it. You should really just let them water them, give them a couple days, water them again. So just to help encourage the roots to go nice and deep to hit that water that's a little bit further down. Take a quick look in here. Ooh, it looks like I have a good opportunity to go in and get the little bowl I used for the soaked feed, because the mama is down there with her chicks. Digging through the compost, we're about to come and take some of that for our compost tea, or compost extract really. How you doing, rooster? You good? And mama? How you doing? And of course we got Henry. Henry's over on that side of the fence running around. I'll show Henry to you from the other way. It's a little easier to see. Where you at? There you are. Hey, bud. Henry, this is an adopted chick we have here. Yes, this is Henry. This guy's actually really humanized. He's very used to humans, not so much the camera, but he's very used to humans. And likes to be around humans a lot. I actually had him out yesterday with the rest of the chicks down below. I opened up the gate and let everyone go out. So I brought Henry down just to kind of be able to interact with them, not in a confined space. And anytime the rooster came out, Henry just ran underneath me, kind of like I was his mama hen. So, but he's getting there. He's, or really it's a she, I think. Its name is Henry, but I think it's a she, so it's probably gonna end up being Henrietta, or it could just be Henry. Henry can be a girl's name too. I'm gonna fill these up with water. All right, let's head on over to get Henry his food. So it looks dry at the top because it is dry at the top, but most of that's soaked feed. A little bit easier for him to digest. What you doing there, bud? Just enjoying some sort of the grass in here. What are you doing? All right, soaked feed for the chicks. Really, this is soaked feed for everyone because everyone likes it. Especially the rooster. Rooster loves it. Here comes mama with her chicks. And then just kind of loosen up some there. So there's actually some water at the bottom of that thing. So that's also kind of all soaked in there. So there's another source of it. So what usually happens is I bring the nice fresh food over. That mama comes and takes everything over, and the rooster kicks this one out with the chicks, and the chicks have to deal with the seconds. All right, let's get this ready for making a little bit of a compost. We're just gonna make a small batch of compost extract because I don't really need huge amounts right now. Compost extract, you can really apply it at a rate of basically 1 gallon of compost extract to an acre. So you really don't need much, but you can obviously apply a little bit heavier too. So let's go ahead and get some compost. So this compost I started about 3 or 4 weeks ago at this point. I'm actually not sure. I just know it's been about long enough. So this guy, and I can tell long enough for multiple reasons. I have been checking it the whole time, so I kind of know what's going on with it. Here's mama about to attack me because I'm in her chicks area. But this stuff is really close to done, if not completely done at this point. And I know that because it's gone through 3 full turns through the hot composting process, so I know that's the right thing. I've turned it 2 or 3 times after that, and the chickens are very interested. That's my main indication that's pretty much ready, that the chickens are all over this thing. And you can see obviously it's not a pile anymore, it's all spread out. I did a bunch of videos on kind of the process in my chicken compost system. I'll leave the chicken compost system linked above right here, so you can check that out if you're interested in kind of why I have it integrated with the chickens and how to do that yourself if you want to. And yeah, so I'm going to take a quick little handful if I can get one without being attacked too much by this mama. As you see, she was just attacking me. Hi. She starts attacking my my pants a lot, as if she's gonna get me. So I'm basically just finding some nice, pretty well finished, not too, not full of a bunch of organic material that's not broken down. That looks like a pretty good, looks like a pretty good one. And that's really all I need right there. All right, well, I was going to talk about that in there, but Mama's a little fierce today. She doesn't want me to be around, so I'm going to come out. We'll talk about it out here. Let's talk about really quickly the difference between compost extracts and compost teas. Compost tea is basically a brewed system. So that's the one where you're adding air and you're adding a little bit of food for the bacteria and the fungi in the compost. And you're bubbling it really intensely to basically extract all of the biota that's connected to the compost pile, because bacteria make glues, and so do fungi that kind of stick them to the actual compost itself. So you need to basically get them off of the compost. And then when you're brewing a tea, you're basically pulling them off of the compost, giving them food within that water, and then aerating the water to encourage them to have the right environment. And then they basically boom in population. So that's what you're doing there in tea. You're basically making a huge amount of population of the microbes within your compost pile. And then once that's all done, you actually spray that as a foliar spray. You spray it on the plants themselves. So that's kind of what compost tea is used for. With extract, what you're trying to do is basically take all of the microbiology from your actual compost and just get it into the water to have it basically be in suspension in the water. And then you take that water and you water the soil. So the compost tea is for spraying. It's not really to add to the soil, it's for spraying your plants to give them kind of extra protection on all their leaf surfaces and all the plant surfaces that are out there, the fruits, etc. Compost extract is for the soil. Compost extract is a little bit easier to make, and most people could do it. So first step is to have high quality compost. You only need about maybe a pound. I probably put way too much in here. I filled this little bag up about halfway, but I just figured I'd just throw about that much in there, and then we'll get going with it and see what we can do. And then you need a bucket with water. So you have a compost tea bag. You can buy these anywhere. I just bought mine on Amazon, just because that's one of the only places I can get to ship here in Puerto Rico. And this bag basically need a 400 micron mesh size, because you want to make sure all the microbes can get through, but not all of the material in the compost pile that's not broken down. So a 400 micron mesh size is what you're looking for. And you can have it just depends on your system how big of a bag you got. I got a small bag because I know I'm going to be primarily making small batch systems, 5 to 10 gallons, maybe at a time. And that's plenty for what I would ever need here on my site. So I got a small bag. You can get bigger bags if you have a bigger system, right? And then it's important to not use chlorinated water, or if you do have chlorinated water, that's all you have access to basically take it and dechlorinate it. So I'm going to do that using some of my compost with the humic acid that's in the compost itself, because it's broken down. This is starting to smell like forest floor, which means there's humic acids in here, and humic acid can essentially take up the chlorine and the chloramine and basically make it inert. So I'm basically going to take this, a handful of it, and I'm just going to swirl it around in my bucket full of chlorinated water until it turns a little bit brown. So once it kind of starts to turn that brown color, that's when the chlorine is pretty much neutralized. You can buy humic acid and just add it if that's a little bit easier than wondering if you have it in your compost, etc. There's also other things you can add to chlorinated water, basically take the chlorine and chloramine out of there. So just try to use non-chlorinated water. That's going to be the key to get you started. That is all set. I have basically taken the humic acid from my compost and I've added it to the water, and that has helped me neutralize the chlorine and the chloramine within the water. So it doesn't really smell like chlorine as much anymore. Might not be perfect, but that's okay for my small little system. I'm okay with being not exactly perfect. So now I take my compost, it's in the bag. I'm actually gonna take some of this out because I think it is too much. I think it's just gonna end up causing me problems. Hi, kitty. So, fill up your bag full of compost, and then you're gonna put it in the water, and you wanna make sure it gets wet. So you might just kind of dip it like a tea bag for a while, just to start with. Make sure you get everything nice and wet in there. That's gonna encourage everything to start breaking off immediately. So I'm just dunking it just like a tea bag. So at this point, it's all wet in there, I can tell. And then what you're gonna do is basically gently massage. So when you massage, you're gonna squeeze. You're squeezing it over and over again. You're not like shaking it all over, but you're just squeezing. What you need to do essentially when you're doing this is you need to release all those microbes from the actual compost. So you need to apply pressure. You never want to apply more than 80 to 100 psi of pressure. So you just want a nice gentle squeeze, firm but gentle squeeze. Because if you do more than that, you'll end up killing a lot of your biota down there. So you never want to have huge amounts of pressure. That's the same with compost teas. If you do have a brewing system, you never want huge amounts of pressures being thrown at your actual compost tea brew. So you just got to kind of keep that in mind. So this water's turning nice and dark brown. Let me get you closer while I finish this up. I'm just about finished here, but let's see if we can get you a little bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. So basically just taking the bag in the water and squeezing, and I just keep doing that over and over again within the water. And you just have to do that for 30 seconds. All right. So now you can see I have really nice dark brown water here. That's kind of what you're looking for. You want it to be pretty dark. I have some stuff floating in here because I had put that compost in to help neutralize the chlorine before we started. So that's why it's a little bit of a material in there. Otherwise, the bag would have protected it all from that, and we would not have so much in there because everything that's in here, none of that stuff came out. This is all just the organic matter that's left in here. So we'll talk about cleaning this in just a second. I'll talk about the actual contents here now. So this is about 1.5 gallons now of compost extract. Again, compost extracts for the soil. So this is going to be applied directly to the soil as a drench. So we haven't had rain in a couple days, so I feel okay with doing this at this point. If I had done it earlier, it'd probably just been way too much water. I'm going to apply this to my cucumbers here, which have gone up this trellis, which are starting to look kind of sad. There is nice new growth on there. You can see there's beautiful, really deep green growth. We still have cucumbers starting to try to come on, but these guys look like they're probably gonna rot off. But see, there's two right next to each other. That means we actually have pretty good soil life down here. It's supporting more than one flower per node. So that's a good thing, but it's just all starting to look kind of sad. So I'm gonna give it a nice little drench. We're gonna see if that helps. It might just be that they're at the end of their life, but you know, we like to try everything we can to keep them producing. So we're just gonna take this bucket and we're gonna pour it right where we have the vines growing. Give it a nice deep soak. Again, you do not need much. And that's it. Simple as that. So basically we're inoculating. So what the compost extract's doing is it's inoculating the soil with all the beneficial microbes that are in your compost pile. So it's not about adding nutrient, it's about adding all the microbiology that are able to then start the nutrient cycling happening within the soil. So that's very important. This is not a fertilizer, this is an inoculation of the beneficial microbes that are in your soil, that help your soil produce. So my tomatoes are also starting to look a little sad in here. You know, they're not unhappy. They're still flowering and everything. So I'm just going to put the rest of what I have onto my tomatoes here. All right, so once again, the compost extract is basically just taking compost, really nice high quality compost that's fresh, ready to go. Smells nice, smells like kind of forest floor-ish. And you put it into a compost tea bag or compost extract bag. It's basically a mesh bag with a 400 micron opening. and you put that into water, non-chlorinated water, or chlorinated water that's been treated to be non-chlorinated anymore. You just need a small amount for a 5 gallon or even a 10-gallon system, which is the size this bag is made for. You only need maybe 1 pound, 2 pounds of compost. So the best way to tell if it's actually you have all the biota that you want in there is actually to take your compost extract and look at it through a microscope and then check that you have everything. I still don't have a microscope. That's on my kind of next thing to buy. So we'll get that soon enough so I can start showing you actually the microscopic parts of all this, so you can kind of understand that too. And once you have your compost in here, you basically put it into your bag or into your bucket full of water, and then you're massaging it. And the massaging is just a nice simple massage. You're not doing like a shake or anything or like this kind of thing. It's just a nice easy, super simple massage here. If you're interested in learning more about this, you got to check out Elaine Ingham. She's the one that kind of taught me all this. I actually do have a course link if you want to check out our course. I'll leave that link below. I am an affiliate with them, so if you do sign up for their course via my link, I actually get a little bit of a kickback, which just helps me support this channel, like buying a microscope to show you guys the microscope thing. So it's just kind of things like that. So I do have that link below. I'll leave it there in case you are interested. And when you're done with this, let's go on to the kind of final step, which is the cleaning. Okay, it is very important to make sure that you're cleaning your materials here. Otherwise, you're just going to end up having a super clogged and potentially a problem. Because if you don't clean this stuff and it starts to go anaerobic, then when you try to brew your next batch of extract or next batch of tea, you'll end up putting those anaerobic organisms into that brew, and you don't really want those things. All right, so I'm just going to empty all this out. So all this material that you basically extracted, it's no longer really useful in terms of compost. You don't really want to throw this on your pot, on your garden. However, it can just be recomposted. All you have to do is basically take anything that is left in here, throw it right back into your compost system and recompost it, and it'll be just fine. So I'm going to turn this inside out because you want to get all these little cracks. When you're cleaning, you want to make sure you get all these little cracks and everything that might have a little bit of that organic material in there. You just want to make sure you can clean. So, and you really just need to apply. I just have this kind of hose end thing, and I'm using the flat setting, so it's a nice strong water flow. Make sure you get the corners. Corners are the dirty parts. There we go. Nice clean bag again. Just gonna let that dry. Everything else can just go right back in your compost system. For me, there's not too much left here, and this is all mainly water, so I'm just gonna dump it basically onto my on my coconut palm here. Just gonna put it right at the base there. Any leftover microbes in there, I'm sure the palm tree will be happy with. Then of course the bucket clean. So most of that kind of compost biota, if you give them 80 to 100 psi of pressure, you're going to end up killing them, or most of them. So you don't need much to clean it. Just using a hose end like that with a nice firm spray, that'll be enough to basically clean all your systems. You don't have to worry about like a deep pressure or a high pressure, super high pressure nozzle. It doesn't need to be super high, just up to that like kind of 80, 100 psi. And there you go. That's compost extracts. That's kind of my introduction to that. Gives you a very basic, brief how-to. If you have any questions about that, compost extract, difference between compost extract and compost teas, etc., feel free to leave me a question below. I'm happy to answer that. And again, if you are interested in learning, I'm going to leave the link below to Elaine Ingham's course, and I'll probably leave a link to her channel above here too, just so you guys can check that out. All right, well, I'm gonna get ready now, eat some breakfast, and head on off to work today. So I hope you all have a good one. If you do like what I'm doing, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me get more reach. We actually have been going super high up. I want to thank Jeff Lawton and their team. They actually shared my compost video, so that was really exciting for me. I'm gonna very soon make a compost playlist within my YouTube channel, so you can just click on the compost playlist and check out all my videos on compost, because that is what I'm really passionate about and what a lot of you want to learn about. So yeah, that's it for me today, and until next time, have a good one.